Guys, you got to know by now, if you're a fan of the podcast and you want bonus content, you want early access to the podcast, you just want all the wee secret surprises that no one else can see, you go to www.patreon.com/SlyGuyPodcast. For as little as £2 a month, you get access to all you want associated with the Sly Guy podcast. You get to ask questions for this podcast, and you get plenty more at www.patreon.com/SlyGuyPodcast. The Sly Guy podcast is always, forever and a day, brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Modest are a beer that formed right here in Hollywood County Down and has since taken the country and the world by storm. Modest is a delicious beer, a delicious brand with a delicious variation of delicious tastes. And you can find out more by going to their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, and right there you can find anything you want. And if you find what you want at www.modestbeer.co.uk and you want to pay for it, whether that be merch, whether that be a variation of Modest Beers, if you use the code SLYPA15, that's SLYPA15 as you can see here, you will get 15% off your order. And that's just for you guys, the Slyhards and the Rider Slies of the Sly Guy podcast. It's quite a tongue twister to say Sly that often, but I don't care because I love you guys. I'm getting you 15% off Modest Beer with the code SLYPA.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to the Sly Guy podcast with me, Dave Elliott. This week's episode is a wee bit different than usual, but it's really fun. My guest is somebody who I have been an admirer of for quite some time. He's somebody who is impressive in both his achievements in life and also just his general demeanour. He's a great guy is what I'm saying. He's Chris McNaghten, aka Bear, Big Bear, Bear Strong. He's a guy that makes me look smaller, which is, I'm cool with that, but what a guy he is. We had a great episode. It's a longer episode than usual too, so you can break it up over a couple of parts. It was funny, it was silly. There were also really, there were good takeaway moments too about training, obviously with Chris being a former strongman and a gym owner and me being a reputable athlete. There's information to take away. It's fun, it's lighthearted in parts, it can get a bit serious. We spoke about anxiety, a wee bit about mental health. There's something in there for everybody. But what I want you to do is just, wherever you're listening, whether it be in the gym, whether it be at home on the sofa thinking about the gym, whether it be in a car, whether you're listening to it in the bath through a wee Bluetooth speaker because you don't want to be having your phone in the bath because that's stupid. Enjoy this week's episode of Sly Guy Podcast with me and Chris McNaghten.
These Under Armour ones are the only Armour ones that fit my fucking
They stretch,
head.
do they?
You rip them.
Right.
I'm not joking when I say I go through about maybe 25, 30 of these here hats a year. Like.
Yeah,
just because the Under Armour's the only ones that fit my head. You see the wee nip ones at the back? They'll explode. Like.
But how do you rip them? Do you just aggressively?
If I put them on just the way they are, then it'll be too tight and then I get a sore head.
Yeah.
But if I give them a couple of rips at either side and then put them on, then they're good to go.
See, that was the problem that I had there. I had a load of hats, like probably years ago. I got these hats and I think they were 7 3/4, the old new era ones. I put them on recently and they're a bit snug and I'm going, has my head grown or have I just got a fat head now? So I've had to get a size up and I was like, nah, I need to sort of...
My head is actually fat. It's not, because it was actually at the weekend there, I said to John, I was like, you know what I just discovered? And he was like, what? I was like, my head's wide, but it's not big. And I was like, what do you mean? Because my Beat headphones don't have to extend. They go on exactly the way they are without having to come down. Yeah. They fit, so I'm not big this way, it's just fucking wide. But I wouldn't be out with a hat. Like hats for me are like, it's nothing to do with being bald. Like, because when I was 14, I used to shave my head because I wanted to be like Keith Wood and John Hayes. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was all like bald front rower. But I just got so used to wearing a snapback, and it's like a security blanket thing. So like, see when I have my hat on, like anxiety free. If I take my hat off, I like full of anxiety. Stress. Like, feel so exposed. Yeah. Because we done that MTV show. And they were like, you can't wear your hats because it's got Under Armour on it and you can't have branding in the show. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I need my hats. So we did it the first day and I went into the diary room And I was like, I need my hats. And they were like, what? I was like, get me hats. And
Yeah.
a 12 pack of Parriot because I'm dehydrated
Yeah.
like mad. Like. So they ended up giving me my hat back, like, so we could actually wear it.
Did they put a wee sticker on it or something?
Yeah, put black tape across
Yeah.
it so you couldn't see it. But it's a weird thing. Like it's just, if I'm doing anything like public and stuff like that, I like to wear my hats. But like a lot of the speaking and stuff I do, when you're on like smartly dressed on stage,
Yeah.
you can't do it. Like,
See, that was the thing, because I'd seen you doing the speaking, and I thought to myself, would you ever try like a flat cap or something? Would you ever try
I've actually
a trilby?
I've got my granddad's one. When my granddad passed, like, you know, you were going through people's stuff, I was like, give me that there. But I haven't never figured an outfit that works.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not ready to go full daddy vibes yet either. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold on to it a bit.
But it's hard to do, because I guess what we were, for anyone watching, I was going to put a hat on because I get shit from people, right? Because I don't know what it is about men and their hair, but people seem to be like, oh, you're I know I'm going bald. That's why I am bald now. I shaved my head. My hair's kind of grown back a bit, because here's the thing, this is to make you guys feel shit. It's grown back at the minute because it was a dying wish of my aunt that I didn't look bald and harsh at her funeral. And I grew it a bit, got it sort of cut a bit. I mean, it was flogging a dead horse, like, but and now I'm getting a cut tomorrow, getting right down to the wood again for the weekend. So I was going to wear a hat, so I was thinking, I slagging about my male pattern baldness, but you know what? Fuck yous. I'm happy to be
I'd done
me.
a system for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'd done a hair system for a while.
Like the stick-on ones?
The stick-on ones,
yeah.
aye. It was one of them ones, like, we had talked about it, or like I thought about it, and then I said to John, I was like, I don't know whether I should bother doing this or not. And he was like, if you don't do it, you're always going to wonder, so just go and do it. So when I had a bit of fun with it, and it was sort of like, I haven't really had hair since I was like 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
And initially it was like a bit of fun. Like, I remember when I got it on, because they put it on full length,
Yeah.
and then they style it.
Right, okay.
So when they put it on full length, it was like wet hair in the hair, and I was all like whipping the hair around, you know. And I was like, this is cool. And then she's like, how much do you want cut off? I said, just leave it where it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know. But then she styled it all up and cut it all up. And I had a bit of fun with it for a while, like, and it was sort of cool, but like, it was like 5% of the time it was nice to have it, 95% of the time it was the biggest pain in the ass. Plus, like, not having hair for like the past 12 years, 15 years, I haven't a bloody clue how to style hair.
Yeah.
And she done it and had it looking perfect. I done it, I was like Don King when I was going out. It was like all shapes and all. And I was saying to John, I was like, John, how the hell do you like do this here? And he was like, I don't know how to do white people hair. And he was like, trying to, like, it was just a nightmare. And like every morning you were like trying to, she was like, all you have to do is blow dry it and brush it in the direction you want to put it. I'm blow drying it and brushing it, and then it was like this here, and I was like, I can't go to work, and then I ended up putting a snapback on and going to work, and I was like, this is pointless.
Yeah.
So I ran it for about 3 months, and then I was like, you know, I'm the type of guy, I like to get up in the morning, get a shower gel head to toe, you know, towel dry and out the door.
Yes.
I don't have time for anything else, man. Do you know what I mean?
And would you ever like whip them out nowadays for like a special occasion, the hair system, or would you just go, nah, it's not me?
You have to like grow the sides back out,
Yeah.
so it all blends in. And I hate growing the sides out, the bit that I have hair left, because that's that Mr. Burns look. I cannot stand it, like, or that science teacher look. Like,
See, but do you keep it on? Because I Psychic Glenn, who's been on the show a few times, has had it, and he whipped it off.
Angry thing. I was like, wow.
Well, and it was like, whoa. But it looked to me like, it's my first thing. Be if I had that, I'd sweat and it would just slip off.
Sweat,
you know, and it would.
It'll not slip off, but the more you sweat, the shorter a period of time you need before you re-glue it.
Yeah.
So when it gets glued, it's like proper stuck in your head,
So
like it's not moving.
Did you train with it on and all?
Yeah, train and compete it with it on and everything. Yeah. But like, because of the amount of sweating I do, you're talking like 3 weeks, maybe 4 at a push before she's starting to get loose, and then.
And you just like
it stinks too, like,
oh, I can imagine.
There's a bit of a waft off it, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and it's not like your hat where you can stick it in the washing machine, like, you sweat it so much. And then that made me paranoid, and then there was too much paranoia with it, and I was just like, what are you doing, Chris? So I just done away with it. I actually wore it at the time. I was in Boris Johnson invited us over to Downing Street, and I actually was wearing it when I went over there. And his wee lad came out, and his wee boy at the time had basically Boris hair, but on
Yeah.
a kid and massive.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out, and it tickled me, like, you know what I mean? 'Cause it's like, that's full Boris hair, that Wayne. And he came over, and I was talking to the Wayne and all, and I was like, I used to have hair like your age and all, because I used to have big blonde hair
Yeah.
and all. And Boris was like, "Oh, sure, you still have a good head of hair and all this here." And I was like, "Oh, aye, yeah." I totally forgot for a minute.
And I mean, but the sound of you styling it as well probably wouldn't have been a million miles from
Yeah.
Boris's style either.
Oh, it was a mess.
But I know that's one
Never
thing.
again. But at least I tried it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But then it's like, you could probably, you know, like wigs, you could do it, because there's a guy I worked with, right? And he was losing, you could tell he had, like, you know, the Alan Shearer, just a bit at the front and a gap and whatever. And one day he just rocks up with one, never mentions it. And it was like, you know, it's just inherently in you to go, have you done something different? Have you? But he never mentioned it. But then he would start putting stuff up on Facebook about how great he was looking and all, and being like, my confidence is so great and all. And you just wanted to be like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have, there shouldn't be a stigma around it.
No.
But
there is a piss take around
Yeah.
it. Like I like, you know what, like 5-6 years ago would never have done it because of the piss taking.
Yeah.
But like the stage I'm at in life now, I really don't give a shit what anybody says. And it's something that I wanted to try and error for myself. But when I got it done, and I was first time going into the gym and stuff where everybody knew you, I was a wee bit like, and everybody was just like, "Oh, Chris, I'd never seen you with your hat off." Like everybody, there's so many. Some people knew the crack.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people knew the crack, but like a lot of people just thought that's what I looked like with my hat off. They didn't realise, you know, that it was the other way around.
Because you'd think too, like, with something like that, going into the gym environment, you know, where everyone's very, like, aware of appearances and would be very probably past remarkable, you'd imagine you get a bit of a slagging about it, like. But did people just go, "Oh no, that's fair play to you," and just?
I think a lot of people was like, fair play for having the balls. Like I wouldn't, but like, yeah, I just got to the stage where like I'm just used to it, you know what I mean? So it was just like, I'm going to try this, because it was one of them ones. It's like, I'm going to think about it and I'm going to wonder and I'm going to wonder. But at least if I give it a go, see what I think. I could see how it's a huge thing for people.
Yeah.
Like, but being bald has never been a problem for me. But I could see for some people who really, you know, miss that, it's massive for them. And fuck, go and do it then. What the hell's the point of being unhappy? Like, go do it, like, you know. But for me, it just wasn't worth the work. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like literally having it on and being like, I might go back to number one, but like, you can just take this off. You know what I mean?
I'd be such a waste getting it all done. What do you want? Just take it down to the one place. And she's like, "What the fuck? You'll see the glue, you'll see everything." What the fuck, you know? But no, it's a because it's a, I don't know. I think it's a weird thing with how you take yourself as a person, isn't it? I think, like, for me, I would have, when I had her, which, let's be honest, probably about 5-6 years ago, 7 maybe, at a push. But I've always been, and I always start off with like the Zidane at the back. I'm like, it's going a bit here, and then as I got sort of older, again, it sort of correlates when I met my wife, had my kids. The beard started going grey, the hair started going, and then it was actually before we got married. I was going to take the hair off, but she said just keep it for the photos. You know, at least the front look grand. And I had friends, like friends' wives and stuff, and people like, I didn't even know you're bald because they're shorter than me. But when I sort of were time lace, they're like, I see what's going on here. And I think now, like, when I took it off, it was like, initially the only problem was my face, and like around the surrounding area was tanned, and it was just this big fucking white Uncle Fester head, like. But when I got used to it and I got out, I was like, I like it now, and I feel like, you know, I'm not like, oh fuck, I wish I had her anymore. And again, I don't know if that would have been the case if that was me 5 years ago. You know, I think I probably would have been a bit more traumatized about it and maybe looked at the cost of a transplant or something. But now I'm thinking, you know what?
Some people it doesn't suit. Like, the bald look doesn't suit some people. Like, I think big guys get away with a bald look quite well. Yeah. But you know, some people are unfortunate that it's just not a look for them. Like, but I think any big guy with a beard can rock bald head and a beard.
See, that's the thing. I think the beard sort of saves me a bit, because I
know.
know. Thank God for that.
Because it's an upside down head.
Because I remember I did it once years and years ago. Like when I was, I think maybe just 20 or something. I was just shaving my head down for a bit of crack, and I took it right off, but I had no beard. And I look back at those photos, and I look like Uncle. It was not a good look at all.
If I shaved my beard, I never realised. I don't remember having this prior to like having a beard. But like sometimes I've took these notions to whack the whole beard off, and my face looks like a white Cadbury's button. I never realised how round my head is. Just like a pole ball.
because
so bad looking, like.
and it changes how people like fancy you even.
Oh,
Because like
100%.
I shaved my beard off once for I don't know what, I think it was acting something. Because I'm a serious actor now too, guys. I haven't stressed that enough. But at the time, I'd shaved it all off, and Catherine had gone to the toilet during the night and saw me in the bed. She's like, I was startled, like, fuck, I didn't, because my brain was so used to the black beard, like, she saw you, and she was like, no harm to you. He gives me the ick a bit, and I was like, all right, fucking hell, still same face, but just doesn't have a beard.
A lot of people are into the tashes. Like, I don't particularly like tashes, like, but like.
Yeah.
When was it, last year or something, I took a notion and I was like, alright, I've got to see what I look like with mustache. I went into a mustache. I hated it.
Yeah.
Like, I despise it. There's a big fella, the strongman, Gavin Belton, has the big tash, and he looks sick.
Yeah.
Like, he looks sick with a big mustache. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Because see, for me, the beard also shapes my face. So if the mustache is, you need that bit to like sculpt you a bit. And I think with, like I had one, and I just looked like a perv every time. It's like no matter what. Because I think this is a weird thing that maybe I'm overthinking it a bit. I don't have a big space between my top lip and my nose, so the moustache I have's never like like David Seaman. He had a cracking moustache, but he had that big space.
Yeah.
I just so it's always quite small looking, and because I'm so big. Yeah. It would just look, it sort of shrinks around the rest of me, and just it's not a good look at all.
You have to work with what like you have and you got like say I just could not, like, I was like, I can't wait till my beard grows back whenever I had the mustache. But then loads of people were commenting going like, oh my god, I love your mustache, you look so good with a mustache and all, and I'm like, it's not fucking staying well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. When you know yourself what you like, it's like, nah, I'm going back to that no matter what. Like even this is, because to be honest, a wee bit of me, it was like, I wonder if comes back with a bit more no more coverage. Just see now I was looking at going, I look like the guy out of Hellraiser, the Pinhead. I was like, nah, it needs to get it off again. But it's because but the big thing that I have noticed and with being bald was I'd rather be bald and strong than bald and fat. I think that's what, whenever I saw him, I did a show and I looked back at the footage of it and I went, nah, I've got a big round. I'd rather look like, if you look at a bald man, you go, there's a man you'd love to, like Goldberg. You look at him and go, that's a man you'd like to look at, a big, strong, bald man. Whereas I looked at myself and I went, nah, it wouldn't be for. So I went straight down the gym on the Monday, joined up and got back into it, and I've been there, I think, probably coming on a month. I'm loving it, and I feel like almost back to, no, I don't want to say myself, but like, yeah, I'm feeling much better with it now, and now I'm like,
should do a powerlifting comp.
You know what?
Because all your joints are still good, like, aren't they?
Yeah, but I had this is quite a fun story for you. Back in the day, I was a personal trainer when I was a younger fella. Back in the day when I was about 20, 21, big into it. I always had a big interest in fitness. Even still, when I was at my fattest, was still like keeping an eye on the Olympia, reading the articles, like an interest, but going, that's good to know. Never actually implementing anything, just going nuts. And at the time I worked in the gym, Glenn Ross worked there for a period, and there's two fucking stories that scundered me. One was they were doing a show in the car park of the gym, so it was a big day, sort of. I think it was in the sport, it would have been, so it's Valentine's now. Yeah,
I was in that competition.
So yeah, so you,
that was my first comp.
Yeah, so
I was like fucking Jesus, 12 years ago.
Yeah, would have been about that.
Yeah.
So I was there like working and just like watching, and like I helped unload everything, and it was I remember at one point I was there and it was me, one of the managers, and this woman, and they were like, oh, you're decent and strong up in the gym, like would you ever consider? And I was like, yeah, I would, blah. I'd be interested in it. And then but I went, I wouldn't want to be as bulky as that. I think it doesn't look like Glenn. It can't be.
Looking like Glenn Ross for strongman inspiration.
Yeah,
is the way to go.
No, but like, and it was. But I remember going, he's much too big. He must have a miserable life and all, being that size. Fucking would hate that for myself. And the woman was his wife. And I was like, oh no.
Jesus.
So I was like, oh no. And I was like, I didn't mean it. I wasn't slabbering, but I was like, I wouldn't want to be that bulky.
I think they're sort of used to it.
And I was like, oh no. But then another thing he did was, like, it's one of the fun of fucking, at the time I was like, what a dick. But no, it's like, it was good banter. I was deadlifting, and whenever you're really trying to ego lift when you're a young buck, and you're like, right, let's go, and I was stacking, taking me ages to get the weights on and everything, and I was going for a decent weight, and I went and I tried to, I could, when you get it up half, you just have to drop it, and you're like a wee bit staggered, I was like, staggered, having a walk, and Glenn was on shift, and he walks over. Like, again, he was the only one that didn't wear the gym kit, so he's just in his tracksuit bottoms, a polo shirt. Over he comes, I'm trying to deadlift, he just lifts it up, sticks it on the squat rack, and he goes, put your weights away when you're finished, mate. And I was like, fucking hell, you dick. And he just walked away laughing, so I had to strip the whole thing all down again and redo
I
it.
remember that time, man. Like, that was that competition, that car park was my first comp, and I think I was like 19, 20 at the time. Like, I would have been 20. It was Ulster Strongest Man.
Yeah.
And there was like, I think there was like maybe 12 guys in it, 15 guys or something like that. I used to wear the black balaclavas and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was senior time. Like, I was competing in juniors and all, but that was a senior comp. And then I remember Glenn used to work in PTing or something in the gym as well. Like, but it's mad. Like, I always compare that competition in that car park with like 50, 100 people max watching to like my last comps with 10,000 people in arenas. Like, it's fucking insane.
But see, even that day, there was a buzz about the place. People were, you know, and it was cool to, like, even, you know, because again at the time, obviously, it was just like, it was a commercial gym, you know, most people go to, you know, just for probably most part vanity reasons. Wasn't big lifters, wasn't. No. And everyone it was like a fun day. It was great. Everyone had a smashing time. Strongman
comps back then was just about like who'll pay money to be able to put on the comp.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they held it wherever you could held it. Whereas now, like, maybe smaller regional comps aren't as much, but like any national, like Ireland's or England's, Scotland, Wales, and then the UK's, the Britons and all, like, they're all arena sports now.
Yeah.
Like, and it's insane, like, in 10 years where the sport went to, like, it's unreal.
Because that's the thing, it's one of my sort of good childhood memories is watching the World's Strongest Man. It was always like guys like Hugh Cahill and the boys, you know, Magnus for Magnus and all those ones. And I always remember, like, watching it growing up with my dad, being like, fuck, this is, you know, cool to see. Because I was big into that. And then wrestling, I don't know, from a kid, I'd be like, I just like giant physiques, and I've always gone, like, it's cool to see. And like, when I
started strongman, like, it was a proper freak sport then, like, because you don't have gyms with strongman equipment back then. Like, we went to Glen's Yard, which was in Market Hill, and you had to go into the cow shed and lift all the equipment out of the cow shed and clean all the shite off it and all, and then train with it. But everything we trained with then was competition equipment, so it all weighed the weight of fucking competition stuff. So like the farmers were like 130 kilo farmers, and you just had to like try to lift them, and then walk a bit and like try to better that the next week. There was no like, let's start at like 80 and build up or anything, which is probably like starting off in the sport why it like caused so many problems, like injury wise, long term. Like, but
see, a bit of me, that's the thing. I like almost the old school romance of a lot of things, like things like that. Going to Glen's Yard, working out there. He actually tried to get me to it once, and I'd almost like freaked myself out of going, you know. And again, this is going to be the most pansy type excuse ever. I really have sensitive hands, and I just thought, see, when the Atlas stones, I don't want to have, like, to me it's a giant pumice stone, and I don't want to, like, I get paper cuts and all, I'm like, I don't need the stress of that. But he saw me doing, I think I was doing a 90 kilogram shoulder press, and he came over and he was like, we could do something like that. And I was like, oh yeah. And then it was just, I thought, you know, when you I think what it was when I saw that competition, I was like, these boys are serious, you know. Maybe I'll be. But it was fun to, and like, even like the thing with Glenn, like, he made me, like, I'm fascinated by him. I'd love to actually get him on the podcast, but how he was telling, like, the stories he has about, like, being trialed for WWE and things, and how he was a bodybuilder at one point. And I remember going, no, you couldn't have been.
Pictures of him as well,
and he's pictures, and he's like, but then he was saying, like, that at one point he was, I think, maybe 40 stone or something, and I think he was like kicking about 32, and he was like, I feel great now.
I think when he went to the Arnold's, like, he done bodybuilding, that I think that was well before strongman, and then got into strongman. And there was a period there of, like, when he started strongman, like he was just like Desperate Dan, like, a big muscular version. Like, I'd seen loads of photos of him when he was in that sort of peak, where he was just a big beast Brit of a man, like, but, like, you know, then he went to the Arnold's, and I think he was very head focused of the Arnold strongman show, in a lot of people's opinion, is the pinnacle of strength. Like, if you win the Arnold's, people would say you're stronger than winning the world's strongest man.
Because it's more, isn't it more like weights and
stand
deadlifts
still
and
and
stuff. Yeah.
move the max amount of weight type
Yeah.
of thing. And the moving events that they do have might be like 10 metres. So
Yeah.
like at World's Strongest Man, they might do like a 450 kilo yoke for 20 metres.
Uh-huh.
Whereas at the Arnold's, they might do like 10 metres, but it could be 550, 600 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then it's max deadlift, max logs and stuff, max dumbbells. It is, everybody's got their own opinion, but for me, like what is testing the strongest man in the world would be the Arnold's over the Worlds.
Yeah.
But I think what the Worlds does would be by keeping a dynamic and fitness approach to it is good too for the health of athletes. But yeah, I think that's what Glenn's main focus on, was trying to win that. And he went and he came third.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like what he done in strength, like nobody can, no matter what your opinion is of Glenn, but what he done as an athlete, like over the years, is incredible. Like, and
that's what
everybody will always respect that their side of him. You know,
Because that's what they said about him, that he was one of the strongest men they've ever lived. Still, you know, like statically.
Statically, yeah. Like his part, I can't remember what his powerlifting total and stuff like that is,
Yeah.
but his powerlifting total is fucking ridiculous too. Like, you know.
But do you think if he would have been, say, American and had access to, because obviously at a point he probably would have just been one of the very few locally probably to that level of powerlifting. So if he was, say, somewhere like training in America, living out there, training with all the sort of the regular strongmen, where there's more of a scene. Like obviously the scene now here has come on a lot, but back then it probably would have been very basic with it.
Yeah, there wasn't as many. Like I suppose back then he would have went to, you know, Britain's and stuff like that. There, like even in Ireland's would have been a handful of boys. Like, you know, a lot of people would argue, and rightly so, that Brian Irwin was stronger than Glenn ever was, and he was I think he was more successful in World's Strongest Man and stuff than what Glenn was. He's a Belfast man from Shankill, and was still competing in Giants live shows and still competing at a high level of strongman, just up until maybe he retired like 4 or 5 years ago, and they had a big rivalry with each other, and it's always, you know, so, like I think overall in the wide spectrum what Glenn achieved was much bigger, but like Ryan was definitely like up there too. And then you had Dave Warner from Ballymoney, who was the world's strongest man athlete. As a whole package, again, you could argue that Dave was a better strongman because he was fit, he could move, he was fast, like farmers and stuff like that. There, he was good, but he was also strong as a bull. Like, you know what I mean? But there's been a lot of, but I guess Glenn got UKs in, and won UK something like 5-6 years in a row or something like that there before he eventually retired, you know, and now he just runs shows and stuff. But now no matter what, as I say, you think of Glenn, his sporting career as an athlete, you can only but respect it. Like, you know, it's incredible what he done. Like, but that's all I really have to say.
I know. What a fella! It's like a fella, there's a wee bit of juice maybe coming there. I was like, oh, is there? But yes, you know what? He's a piece of shit for doing what he did to me. So there you have it. You know, lifting the took me for, and I didn't even do it anymore. I think I did like 20s or something like that. But that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. I watched the documentary about Eddie Hall. So it was about his sort of competition with Thor has been, you know, probably pushed strongman with the boxing and other stuff to like another level. Where's the limit of where strongman goes? Because obviously the weights and the lifts are going higher and higher. Is there a point where it's going to plateau? Like, are the likes of Thor and Eddie Hall, are they the best strongmen that there have ever been, or like the likes of Brian Shaw and Mariusz Pudzianowski, people like that, or is it just the more weight you lift, or where's the plateau in that, where people just get bigger and will keep going?
I think we will see stronger people than Thor, Eddie, Brian. I think we don't think we've seen the best yet. The reason I say that is that like strongman has developed massively in the past 10 years, like massively. Within that past 10 years, Eddie and the likes of Eddie and Thor were developing as it was developing. Do you know what I mean? So if you get a newcomer coming into the sport now, say you're getting somebody coming in 18, 19, they're coming in with all this research, all this help, all this support, all this knowledge which they didn't have. They were learning as they went. So like if you're coming onto the scene now as a young lad, I think if you have the genetics and if you have the capability and if you have the money, then I think you have the ability to become better than what they were. It's just like guys who are in the sport right now being able to do that. It's sort of like you need a blank canvas with all the information and start from scratch, rather than be in it and then try to like become the best. For me, like Cedrunas was the strongest man who ever lived, like closely followed by Brian Shaw, and it's always like you can always go backwards and forwards, but everybody's their own opinions. But I think what Cedrunas has done and the length of his career and stuff like that there, if you read his book and stuff like that as well, when he was a young lad, I don't know the ins and outs of the history of it, but I think it was something to do when he was Lithuania. It was under Soviet law, so they weren't allowed to do weights training or allowed to do anything sport based. So he went into like a hidden gym and trained in a hidden gym to be able to get the world's strongest man, which is insane. Like.
But like him like see with in terms of like Zydrunas Savickas, isn't it? He was like when he was the world's strongest man, he was sort of like then he sort of came after, say, Pudzianowski. So when Pudzianowski was really cut, and you always look at him going.
Well, what sort of happened was strongman in around that time area had divided. So IFSA strongman came along, and they had a World Series, and they were basically paying athletes money. Yeah. So whereas World's Strongest Man, there was no money in it. So all of a sudden money came along in strongman, and all the best went for IFSA. Yeah. Like genuinely the best guys all went to IFSA, like, and left a big pool of people at Worlds, and that's where Marius got his run for a while. Right. Okay. So he got a run of like Cedrunas was away. Like Travis Ortmeyer was another one that went. Sven Carson I think went. There was a lot of boys went to IFSA that were known as the top guys for maybe 3-4 years until IFSA closed up, and then they came back to Worlds. Yeah. So that's where I always sort of like find the Marius title hard. Is like he did, like, don't get me wrong, he still beat good athletes, but he didn't beat everybody in the world for
like
the
darts, the BDO and things splitting. Like the Lakeside's just not quite.
And it's good that that's never happened again in strongman. Like there's never been. I think in Ireland they tried it for a while where we weren't allowed to compete for any other competitions and stuff like that. There, it was like, and I always think to myself like, all right, if you're paying me 10 grand a year or something, do you know what I mean? If you're paying athletes, then you could do that, but like, you can't sign athletes into contracts and they can't compete. I remember they tried it in Ireland for a while and it was just an absolute shit show. But it's good that that's never came into strongman again, where you've been tied to do comps and stuff like that. There, you're free to go and do what you want to do and compete where you want to compete. And then that way, if people don't show up, they don't show up. You can't. You know, you still are. If you go to World's Strongest Man, you go to Ireland's Strongest Man. That year, you beat the athletes that are in front of you, and if you win, that's your title, and that's it. Yeah. But I think whenever athletes had to make decisions like that, there, both financially and career-wise, then I think it's a wee bit like, you know, were you the world's strongest man, really? Like, you know.
But see, he was one that was probably crossover because of his physique too. You know, so probably he'll do like Muscle and Fitness magazine, and then that's when you look at like his build. And then you look at Savickas and you go, like, see him now. He's like, I look at him and go, how's he got to the shape he's in now? Because he's almost like he looks very athletic because he had the big turtle shell tummy. And then now he's almost like, you see the vascularity in him and all, and you're like, what's he doing? Because same with Eddie Hall and Thor, how their weights have dropped. Like, as somebody now, it's like interested in trying to lose weight. They're going, how do these boys go from being having that much lean mass? And
I think the main thing is that you just don't like. To be that size, like the calorie intake is horrific, and the minute you drop that, you start to lose like fast. Like, you know what I mean? Whenever I retired earlier this year, like I realised for a while, I was like, you're not training the way you used to train. You're not lifting the way you used to lift, but you're still sort of eating the way you used to eat. So I had to start to take appetite depressants there to sort of cut my appetite down a wee bit to like get used to eating like a normal person's food for a while, like, you know.
And what's that sort of step like? So when you made the decision to retire, was you content with it? Was your decision? You weren't sort of forced to do it through injury or anything, or?
I wasn't. Like I retired before and came back. And I wasn't happy with it then. This time, like, I genuinely happy. Like, you know, it's like I think the times before I used to watch competitions and be like, I could beat that boy, I could do this, I could do that, and you sort of came back and stuff. But as now I look at it and I'm like, you're sort of pleased to see people lifting and doing well and stuff.
Yeah.
I run a junior powerlifting club, and I had them away at a comp a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, the buzz was there, and yeah, it would be great to go out and lift and stuff. And I was having a bit of banter with Ricky Mullen, like, we were sort of calling each other out and stuff like that there. But then I'm like, nah, like, I got out of the sport whenever I'm fit and healthy and like relatively injury free, apart from like a couple of back issues and stuff. So I want to like continue that. Like, I don't want to go back in until I retire injured, badly injured, or I die. Do you know what I mean? And there is a wall in my gym with friends that aren't here anymore. Whether it's, you could say it's through the sport or for what, but the sport didn't help, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, no, I'm really content now to be retired, like, and enjoying the retirement side of things, and I'm going to go back and play American football, which I did before and really enjoyed, but it was always one of them ones of, like, I can't do American football and do strongman, because some boy wipes me out and at the weekend and puts me out of strongman training for about 6 months. Like, it's not worthwhile, like, but now I can go and I just enjoy it and have a bit of crack at it.
See, that's the thing, like, it's good that, because sometimes when you hear about people retiring from something that's obviously as all encompassing, to be a professional at that elite level of strongman, it has to just be your life. So see, whenever you flick that switch, you're retired, do you still have, how do you sort of move that kind of competitiveness or that drive? Do you put that into other elements, or if you just kind of going, you know what, I was, this mindset was freaky, like, and then you have to step away from it, or you're like that intense about other things?
I think like for a lot of athletes, there was a lot of my career was spent using training as like self-medicating from mental health and stuff. Like, I think that was a huge thing. Like, I used to like train to like mad extremes, and I look back at it now and be like, that was a lot of like self-harm almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, lifting until you passed out and stuff, and like, like lifting weights till there was blood pissing out of you and stuff like that there. Like, it was self-harm in many ways, like, and like, I think as my mental health got better through along that journey, I stopped training that way. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't in me anymore. And then like, whenever I retired the last time and then came back, I just knew all along, it was like, you're not training with the heart the way you used to, and like the dedication the way you used to, and like, I was going to bed at night and I was worried that I wouldn't wake up, because that had happened to friends of mine. They went to bed just totally fine, and then somebody went up the next morning to find them dead. And I generally go to bed every night like being like, I don't want to die tomorrow. Like, I want to wake up tomorrow and be with my husband and all, like, you know what I mean? And I think I got built a very close relationship with family and my husband and my close friends over the last 4 or 5 years, like really close relationships where it was like, this is more important than sport. Do you know what I mean? And strongman is such a selfish sport too, you know what I mean? And it's not like, if you have family and stuff like that there, and you have people, that come first, because I always, whenever I'm doing talks and stuff like that there, I always talk about, like, when people say I give it 100%, like, I give it my all, I give it my everything and all. I was like, but did you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I was at an expo a while ago, and I sat and was listening to these sort of like motivational speakers, and fuck, they were awful. Like, they were so bad. Like, and this one guy was I don't know if he was a bodybuilder or what the hell it was he'd done, and he was like, I give 100%, I give 100% every day I get up, I give 100% to my sport, and I give 100%. Like, I was just kept saying 100%. It was triggering me. Like, I was like, you say 100%. So the next thing, the guy was like, any questions? And I stood up and I was like, in what way do you give 100% to like your bodybuilding? And he's like, it's just every day, 24/7, all I do. And I was like, all right. I was like, have you got a partner or what? And he was like, you have a girlfriend. I was like, right, is you close with your family? And he said, yeah, and he was a personal trainer. And I says, you give 100% to bodybuilding in your sport. That means there's 0% for your girlfriend, 0% for your business, and 0% for your family. And he's like, no, like, I run a really successful business, and my girlfriend gets. Well, then I said, you don't give 100% of your sport, mate. I was like, your effort is divided into your time. I was like, so where does your time go? Do you know what I mean? And he's starting and I think a lot of people sort of like in sport, and then people who are self-employed in business, and people with family, no matter what it is you do, you have to realise that you can't be the best at everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If somebody thinks they're the best possible athlete they could be, and the best possible businessman, and the best possible family man, no, you're not.
Yeah.
One of them is, or only one of them is what you're best at,
Yeah.
and the rest are following suit because of
Yeah.
that. So if I was to go into strongman and put my efforts into strongman to be the best strongman, I know I wouldn't be the best businessman, I know I wouldn't be the best husband, and I know I wouldn't be the best family man, because strongman would be coming first,
Yeah.
and then business has to come second. So family, friends, you know, your partner, they unfortunately are all the ones that are way down the line.
Yeah.
And there's been so many, like I've done strongman for 13 years, and between strongman and business there's been loads of selfishness, do you know what I mean, to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's just a time where I just love and care about my family too much, where it's like, you know, I'm going to put you guys first, do you know what I mean, and like our time together, our relationships together and stuff, and then put the rest of that focus on the business and making business better, you know. But you get a time, like everybody's a time where that comes through.
Yeah.
Like, did you watch the Fury series?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Like, he's in the bad way with all that carrying on, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's, and I get, like, when I was watching him, I could get where he was at, and I could get what was going on in his life, like, do you know what I mean? And it's just like, but you have to realise that you just can't keep going till you drop, like, you know, because you probably won't drop. You have to get a day you're going to be okay to walk away, like.
But he's like, it was weird watching him, because like, obviously he has his ways, you know, and like he needs to be running, you know, that's just part that keeps him. So obviously you saw what happened to him whenever he kind of retired the first time and the weight applied on. He was, and again, he's not being the best husband, dad he could be. Sometimes I'm watching him going, fuck, I couldn't get away with that. And then my wife very quickly goes, yeah, but you're also not bringing 50 million home from a night's work, you know. I'd be lucky to bring 50 quid some of these places. But it's like, you know, with sport, like I have a friend of mine who's a professional rugby player for years, and he's retired now. I think he's managed to do it quite well, but it's like, it's weird to know that that's your span at a certain thing. Like with boxing, he probably has maybe max probably 3-4 fights in him, if that, because he says he's retired. But I'm sure you probably have that. If you're at that level of any sport, you'll still have the drive, and he'll want to unify the titles. I'm sure that'll be a thing that, you do that, retire, but then it's like, it's that step to know how to occupy your time, and I don't know if he has enough on going that lights the fire the same way as the boxing does.
I think his boxing and his training has just been self-medicating for his mental health. I think that's why he can't step away. Do you know what I mean? You could see everything that was going on with him in that documentary. Alright, documentaries they go on how they're edited and stuff like that there, but the bit for me when he was watching the other guy fighting and stuff, and he was like losing it, you know, he's flipping out, and it was just like, there's actually a condition for it. There's a psychological name for it. I learned about it years ago, but the hell if I can remember, it was a big long stupid name, about athletes who step away, and it was very closely compared to people who were in the military. The same thing. You're sort of at this level of structure and you know, respect and all the rest of it, and then you go from this here to retiring, and then you drop down, and it's just like, what the hell do I do now? There's an actual term for it, and I think that's a really hard thing for athletes to sort of get right, like, you know. And it's mad as well. You think, the amount of money, like, he was still doing tours and all. Like, it wasn't to do with not being famous anymore. Like, the fame was still there. It was the actual sport. That's what was driving him crazy. It wasn't the fame. Like, you could still fill arenas for people signing photos with him and fill events and all. It was the actual sport, and I don't think it would matter to him if it was like in a gym training for a fight in a car park or in an arena. It was the actual sport that still had him, like, you know.
But it's a weird thing fighting that, because in a different way with stand-up, I remember at one point before I'd met Catherine or anything, I'd sort of been like, right, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to, it's a be all and end all thing. I want to get as good as I can. Now at that point, not great, you know, it wasn't good at all. And then whenever I had the kids, I remember having a discussion with Mickey at Woodsy's wedding. So both of us were blocked, and he was like, you need to give stand-up your all. But at the time I was like, well, it'll never be number one now behind my wife and kids. So no matter what, since I have a kids, I'm like, you know, and my thought was that as much as I love slang, and I love it, and I'm really enjoying doing it at the minute, and things are going really well, and I'm totally in love with the act of stand up. But if I never did get another gig again, and I stopped, I'd still have the kids. You know, I'd still have my wife to go back to. So it's that thing, like you're saying, you know, with the strongman, you can do that for, you know, it would be a you thing pushing that, but then if you step back, your family, your husband still be there, you know, and then and it's just trying to, I suppose, have that.
I'm lucky, like and this is where I'm always thankful to the sport. It gave me a fucking great life. Yeah. Like, I'm one of the ones who's really lucky. I got a great life out of strongman, like, you know what I mean? And like, and the things that came off the back of it, with like the TV shows, the reality TV shows, like just, you know, celebrity and all the rest of it, like, you know, like all that stuff that came off the back of strongman, like all the Bear Strong stuff and all as well. I'm really lucky that I actually made a career and a life out of it. But a load of people go into it, compete, get injured, come out and left a fuck up or injury, like, you know what I mean? So I'm sort of lucky that way, that, you know, I've retired now, but like I've made that big a brand out of it all. That I can just crack on, like, you know, and keep working at it, like.
And in terms of that, what's the next sort of step? What are the goals that you have?
Fucking writing a book at the moment.
Nice. What's
the bastard?
Yeah.
It's literally like, I've hardly read a book my whole life, so now to write one. Yeah. And I was like, this is no word of a fucking lie, mate. I was like, I was a good like 90 pages into it. Lost the whole thing on my laptop. Couldn't recover it or nothing.
Oh dear.
See, when you restart, you can't remember shit. Like, I couldn't remember like how I started it, so I just had to start from scratch all over again.
How long did that take? Because it
took me fucking forever. Because, you know, and I had like, I was paying to get it all proofread, because I write things down as I speak. Yeah. So like I was having to get people to proofread it, because like fucking anybody else who's not from Larne needs to be able to understand it. And like it was one of them ones. Do you ever have something so bad that happens, you're just like, right, move on, and you just move on. You don't get angry about it, because it's just too much to handle.
I would say that,
just
fuck it,
move on. I was so pissed off. So I started from scratch. I'm sort of glad I started from scratch, because I think the first one, the only book I sort of read right through like recently, I read a lot of Nicholas Sparks books when I was like in my early 20s. It's just weird. I got really into Nicholas Sparks book. I read them.
You don't write your book like that. It's about you. It's not like, I was going to say, like, there's romance novels.
XXX romance novel. That would actually be fun to do too. Like. But so I read Joe Marlett's, you know, the prop for England.
Yes, Joe Marlett.
His book's fucking class.
He's a wingnut though, isn't he?
But in a great way. Like, but his book is fucking brilliant. Like, if you have any type of rugby background, read his book, because it's so relatable. Like, all he talks is about like, you know the way you're sitting talking there about like strongman idols and stuff like that. His idols in rugby is based on the sesh. Yeah. Like how they handle a sesh. And how they
Justin Leonard, number one.
I think he was in it though. Who else was it he was talking to? He had some boy that was it Jason Leonard? It might have been Jason Leonard. Whenever he got in his call up to England, and he had to like get somebody who shadowed him, like a senior shadowed him, and he went and met him in the pub. And because he arrived late to the pub, the boy was like, I'm too far gone, mate, you may come back tomorrow. And it was his book's class. So like, reading his book, I was a wee bit like, I like his style, like how it's like him telling a story. And then I read Will Smith's book, got about halfway through it, and I was just like, you're full of shit. So I stopped.
Good.
The whole book was like, he started off the part of the book where he told you he likes to make things up and tell stories. Yeah. And then you're halfway through the book and you're like, what the fuck's real here? What the fuck's fake? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying doing it. It's getting time to do it and all, like, but I've cut it back on a lot of events now this year. I was saying to you, I want to do more podcasting and like concentrate on my book and stuff. I would have liked to have got it out for Christmas, but that's never going to happen. Yeah. Like, but I enjoy doing it. Like, it's nice to like basically it's like, it's not a story of my life, Ryan. I don't want to go down that route. Yeah. It's like, it's trying to help people with their mindset and stuff, but each chapter is like, so I recently done a chapter about loyalty.
Like, not loyalism.
No. Loyalty. So my idea was like, if you were ever going through like a stage of your life where you're like struggling with something, or you got hurt by something, or there's just something playing in your mind, that there'll go be a chapter in that book that you can read.
Right.
You know
okay.
what I mean? So you can read the whole book if you want, but like, you can go straight to that chapter. like maybe somebody has been really disloyal to you, you can go to that chapter about loyalty, and you can read it all, and that'll help you at that time of your life.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
See, that's a good show, because there's a book that I've read called The Tools of Titans, which is a good book, and it has sort of like elite level people in different fields, and they have like a so you can go back to it, which I think is good, because when you're done with the book, it's a doorstop though, so it's good to have one that you can reference and sort of and draw from, which is always nice. So
no, it's good. Like it's hard. Like I have ADHD, so like for me to focus down in and like concentrate on it, like I need like everything out of my life has to disappear for 2 hours and just focus on it. So it's like phone goes into the other room, like And
see, when you're like that too, whenever you're in it, do you like, fuck, I need to make it cook here while I'm in the zone, or you can lose that quickly? Do you find like you need to be? Yeah,
like if I sit, I need to like I need to sort of like do like a full chapter at a time, because if I walk away and I come back, it's like I need to reread everything I just done there, because I can't remember any of it. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll be happy when it comes out and stuff, because like every time I do talks and stuff, everybody's afterwards like, where can we buy your book? And what fucking book? Like, do you know what I mean? And that's how it sort of came about. Was doing the cruise ships, and like everybody who came and listened to me in the cruise ship, they kept saying to me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, like I'd love to read your book, you need to write a book. And I'm like, I can't read a book. No, fucking read a book. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it is like one of the hardest tasks I've ever had to done. Like set up a business is easier than reading a book. And then for other people I know, like it's easy for them, like, but for me it's like it's fucking hard. But I will be proud like when I get it finished.
And how's it coming along? Are you getting there? Do you feel like you're...
I feel it's like halfway.
Right, okay.
But nobody's read it yet, so they could go from halfway to fucking start again, depending on how it reads.
There's nothing I hate more than whenever like you've written something and you're like, send it off, and you're like, that's the shit, and then you go 4 pages of notes. What the fuck? How am I gonna do this shit? I don't
want notes. I just want somewhere to fix it. There's no point in saying to me, Chris, this doesn't make sense, because I read it and I'd be like, fucking makes sense to me. You know what I mean? If that doesn't make sense to you, you need to be the one to change it.
I love that they use the phrase, they need to de-learn it. So they need to make so that people can read it outside of learn. Please, let's send someone this de-learn it for me.
I was paying a company to do that for a while, but then I have a friend there, I think she's going to do it for me now, like but I want to get like properly like finished, and then I don't mind going back over it again, rather than like get chapters changed and visit back to it and then get confused and stuff. I just want to get it all done, and then at least if anything happens to me tomorrow, there's this book of like Larn gibberish. Larn people could crack the code for you, like, do you know what I mean?
But no, see with that, obviously you spoke about the guy, Mr. 100%, and with doing the talks in the book, what's your message, or what is it you're trying to put out there with the talks and with the book?
Depends who. Well, with the book, I think it's like I want to call the book, well, my idea of the name of the book at the moment is Becoming Bear Strong. So Bear Strong means a lot of different things, a lot of different people. The meaning of the word bear strong is to bear the burden of others. So that's, to me, what bear strong means. It's like you're taking on other people's burdens and trying to help them, the type of thing. But a lot of people take different meanings out of bear strong. But like, I think with the book, I just want it to be a thing that betters people's lives in some way, shape or form. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you read it, I'm not expecting you to read it and like totally transform your life, because I don't think any book or any person has the power to do that. But if you just take stuff away from that which betters your life a bit, then that's what it's all about. And that's the exact same with my talks and my seminars and stuff. It's like, if you listen to me for an hour and you can take 2 really good pieces away that you can put into play that better your life, fucking brilliant. Like that's worth a lot of dough, like, do you know what I mean, to anyone, like, you know. And it's what people's done with me, like I just got a brain fart now as well. Les Brown was a huge like character in my life, like listening to him. Never met him, I was going to go to one of his seminars, but it's like $3,000 a ticket, by $3,000, like.
What's the business of being, isn't it? £4 you go see a gig.
I don't love you that much. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, I think he was down in Dublin. It was like, somebody told me, it was like, I know you're well into Les Brown and all. And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, he's coming to Dublin. I was like, oh, I'll buy a ticket. And I went on, and it was like, it's like $3.5K, like. And I was like, oh, I
want to come out 4 stone lighter or something, at least directly from that, you know, with a full head of hair. That's what change I want if I'm paying $3.5
And I don't get me wrong, I get it, like, in some way, shape or form, like, you know, but like, I just listened to YouTube one more time, like, you know. But he was huge for me at like different parts of my life, and yeah, I think podcast is the thing that I've got into a lot over the past couple of years. majority of podcasts that I listen to are like comedy based podcasts because
Yeah.
I like how it lifts your mood. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And in your downtime and stuff. And it's like I think the comedy ones is that you stop thinking about work and stuff like that
Yeah.
for a while and like de-stress and all.
Yeah.
So I'd listen to like podcasts and motorbike and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There. But then I listened to Diary of the CEO. Like he's
Yes.
a lot of fucking good guests on.
See,
that.
no, I that's one that I would listen to quite a
Yeah.
bit, and
He gets some fucking class guests.
Yeah.
Like some really. Did you listen to that? Her from fucking Google. But the IA, the AI.
yes,
IA.
that scared me. That one, I
Fuck,
didn't even
right,
halfway
it
through. I'm
scared
like, nah.
I was
no.
like, right, fuck, get the credit cards maxed out
Yeah.
there. Fuck, we're all gonna
Yeah.
be dead at the end of this
No,
year anyway. Like,
it's terrible. And like, it was whenever she said it's like it's come on this amount, but it's only going to like the advancements in AI are like it'll be 100% more advanced in like no time. And you're like,
do you know
oh,
the
wow.
bit that freaked me out about that was right? For me, it was like right, if you were just farting around right, and you made this bomb,
Uh-huh.
and you were like, oh fuck, I
Yeah.
just made a nuclear bomb, and you went down to the Peter station,
Yeah.
and you were like, here boys, I just made a fucking
Yeah.
nuclear bomb up there, and they were like, fuck off, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know, they were like, no, but it's going to explode, and it's going
Yeah.
to kill all of Northern Ireland, and they were like, shut up, Dave, and go
Yeah.
home. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's literally what this guy
Yeah.
and Google had done. He had made AI, and he's like, guys, this is going to take over the world. Like, this is
Yeah.
going to fuck the world up. And everybody's like, shut up, mate.
Yeah.
You know, what are you on about?
Oh, you
now?
fucking think you're class and all, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, no, seriously, I built this. You need to shut it down right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, shut up, mate. What are you on about?
But then it was whenever she was saying that we need to learn how to deal with it. That was when I went, what? Like, we need to know how to, like, it was, you know, didn't she say it was like a dog and a master? We need to always be the master of
Yeah.
it. But then if it keeps going, like, I hate to always reference James Cameron, but that guy is a time traveler. He did Avatar, and he did the Terminator's real life now,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
mental.
Yeah, I was
Scary.
talking to a fella the other day, you know, and initially he says to me, you know, about how common, like, you think, right, whenever we were like teenagers, social media wasn't a big thing.
No.
You
MSN would have been
Yeah.
the
But
number.
how much data would have been on the internet at you at that age?
Oh, little.
Like, next to fuck all. But now, this generation and the generation coming who are turning
Yeah.
18 have the biggest amount of data on the internet that AI and all the rest of it has
Yeah.
access to. And like, you know, I'm not saying it's wrong or the rest of it, but it's just, it's fuel for thought. Like, all the pictures that gets uploaded of children and all the rest of it now,
Yeah.
of like where you're at, the times, the place, who you're with, the
Yeah,
company
it's
you're in
scary.
and all, that's all data.
Yeah.
And it's just collecting and collecting and collecting. And when they turn 18 going into their adult life, like, systems that aren't even here today have
Yeah.
a lot of shit on them.
See,
Like,
that's what I get stressed out about. See, my girls, I'm like, I just hope technology's not, you know, shit for them, and hope they're not. It terrifies me.
it's either going to be
Thought of it.
amazing in 10 years
Yeah.
or it's going to be like absolute hell on earth. Like, because you think like 10 years ago, like when we what age are you?
37.
Yeah,
Just
so
turned.
like CMC. Well, I'm 35, but like when we were at school, it was like Nokia 10s and
Yeah.
shit like that. There, like
32
like,
tens,
oh,
yeah.
God, no.
Yeah.
So we like,
Yeah.
have you seen that Galaxy flip phone
Yeah.
thing? Seen that at the airport the other day?
Yeah.
Where it's like a wee thin phone, you fucking
Yeah,
fold
but
it
now-
like a thing, and it's like a full TV.
I need to tell people some stuff about that particular phone. It has a limited amount of folds. Do you know that? 5,000 folds apparently, and then the screen cracks. Yeah. So whenever I was in, I got my phone
1,700
upgraded,
quid or
and they were
something for
like,
it,
yeah.
yeah.
So they were like, oh, we were looking at that. I was like, that looks cool. And the guy behind the shop was like, yes, there's like they've got more folds in it now. I think it does like 50. But then you think how many times, like 5,000 folds.
You think every time you look at your
Yeah.
phone?
You're probably looking at your phone.
Well, I suppose you can do stuff in the front of it. You're only really
Yeah.
opening it up to like you would open her up a good 10 times a day.
Yeah, easily, if not, you know, because I would always keep it
Which
shut.
3,600 a year.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, so you're, and if
2
you,
years max, like.
oh, but then if you have a couple of 20 days there, you know what I mean? I'd be fucking raging. I mean, imagine opening it on a break. I would lose the head. It'd fucking piss me off. And they're like, yeah, well, it actually says in the small print. Well, fuck a small print. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not fucking having any of that. But no, the AI stuff, that just gives me serious.
Aye. It's one of them ones that we should worry about it, but fuck it, there's a lot of shit. I'm just noticing there's a lot of bigs in this table.
Yeah,
And I just did Big Bear as well.
yeah. Who's
A lot
the
of
other?
other bigs. There's big. Who's that? Dave?
That's Big Demo.
Big Demo.
Yeah.
And there was a big around here as well.
You know, well, Big Demo, he was great as well. He was he's a wrestler, and he was in, and yeah, I don't know who drew the big dick there, but there's a couple of bigs and a couple of dicks. Kieran Bartlett drew a dick, which I mean, I don't know what, like his dick is, the dick he has drawn is small, but the it's like a fountain out of it. So there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe a big ball, small
Butler
dick.
go for like a floppy dick or like?
I don't know.
what's the crack
I think that's his actual signature. Looks like it's a. I don't know. There's like a couple of devil horns in there, but weird. You know, but he's an all-wee man, Butler. But we love him.
Yeah.
Speaking of all-wee men, I have a couple of questions, and there he goes. Talk of devil. He sent me something. So
Butler.
Butler, yeah.
Butler put up a thing on his Instagram ages ago. I can't remember what, somebody had sent him a comment or something about all the good guys are gay or something.
Yeah.
Out there, no reference to him.
Yeah.
I didn't know the crack, so I sent him a thing being like, what was it? Homo's one, he's nil or something like that. But there's no fault putting it up. Like, I just assumed that he was.
I mean, you know what? He's got, you know, it's an easy mistake to make. You know, it is. But that's
you said that,
yeah,
not me.
You know, but he said that a few times. He's like that. He's like, you know, so a lot of people think I'm gay, and I'm sort of like, yeah, I mean, you can see why. You know? See when you put up the stuff for you in the wee vest singing Grace and all, it's. But it was all that. I'm gonna say to him that now. I'm gonna say, hey, Chris was on. He was saying that you know, a lot of people now are saying you're gay, and it's known that you're gay.
Just say a lot of people just say I thought he was based on his. Here, have you seen that the new Expendables has been announced? Big Eddie Hall's in it.
Oh, nice. And what's he look? What's his shape now? He got into bodybuilding. He
filmed that a while. Oh, it's fucking gone. He filmed that a while ago, but Sylvester Stallone fucking flips him over the top of his head. Yeah, like rugby tackles him and flips him over the back of his head. That's on the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Like
that's an ego move from Sylvester there. Yeah, come on, he's strong as man.
Yeah, he's like 70. I will flip that boy.
But he's another mad one. Like, see like him and Arnold, those boys that be in the shape, and who else is he? Frank Zane is in ridiculous shape now still, and he's just like in his 70s. And like, I've started listening to Mike O'Hearn's podcast. Actually, it was one of the ones because again, we spoke off air about this, but I have changed my mind now. I'm back in the gym and I'm trying to. But and I find like when I'm doing that, I have to listen to people that are like they know.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah,
and that's it. And like hearing him chatting about stuff, it's like wow. Like because again, my problem always in the past would have been I have to like eat rice, chicken, broccoli, and then all of a sudden, I think it was Catherine Gay was like, "You're not a pro athlete. You're not a bodybuilder. If you just eat less shit, you lose weight." And I'm like, yeah. Fair point, you know. That
is like so one thing I always do is like if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm like, right, I'll get something that'll kill my appetite, and then that just means that I end up like starting to eat and not finishing everything. Yeah. And then I'll start to do like small. You'll start to like twig on. It's like I'm not going to finish all that, so just give me like. Normally I would have like 2 ribeyes a night and like potatoes and veg, where I would just be like, yes, one ribeye and like 2 or 3 potatoes and a bit of veg. You know what I mean? So it's like you're half in your portion for that night.
And do you think about your diet much, or do you just are you sort of at the point now where you can just?
Now I do. Well, now I'm trying not to put pressure on myself, like because I've had pressure like for the past fucking 13, 14 years. And then strongman, when it comes to like diet and stuff like that, like you just graze like a cow all the time. Like, it's just awful. Like when it comes to the diet side of things. But now it's sort of I think the main training is vanity. And it's like, right, this is new. Do you know what I mean? It's all been about being as strong as I can before and all, and like, you know, a wee bit of Insta flirting and stuff. But now it's like, all right, it's all vanity now. It's like, how do I actually want to look? So, I haven't really figured out how I want to. I do know I want to get a bit leaner and stuff for doing American football, because every time I go try to run right now, my fucking hamstrings and calves are tearing like mad. I was fucking in London at the weekend, right? So I tore my hamstring about 3 weeks ago.
What were you doing to tear the hamstring? Was it
American football? And it was a fucking warm up too. But so at the weekend there, I took my mum and my auntie over to London, and we were doing all the touristy shit because they haven't been to London since they were like 15, and went to Buckingham Palace, and we were at the front of Buckingham Palace, and I turned around and I looked at my left, and this outdoor had dropped in front of Buckingham Palace, and I went over, and I would say they were in their late 60s, 70s, and anything to do with old people, like this, that's me gone, like, you know, melts my heart, like. And I went over and I was like, you alright? And he says, I think it's heat exhaustion, you know, she's passed out and stuff and all. And I was like, right, she sort of came to and stuff, and I was like, look, we need to get you out of the heat, you're just lying here in the baking sun.
Yeah.
And
not ideal if someone said heat stroke.
No, I was like, we need to get you out of the heat. So there was a shady part, and just like, you know, maybe like 75 yards away, 80 yards away, and the guy was like, how are we going to get her there? And I was like, I lift her and carry her. So I sort of wish somebody got a photo of it, because it was so funny looking, like just like all these tourists at Buckingham Palace, and then me, fireman's lifting this dog, like walking her across the front of Buckingham Palace. And I don't think my man all twigged on at this stage what was going on until they seen me carrying this woman. And then my man starts girling and getting on. But I carried her, and I had like 15 metres to go, and I felt that hamstring. And I was like, I just started going numb, and my legs started going weak, and I was like, oh, that's not fully healed yet. No. Like, that's not fully healed. But I'm holding this woman here. It's like, what the fuck am I going to do with her? So I just kept going, and it was just like, the batteries running out of the fucking toy. It was just slowing. Slowing and slowing. The closer I got to the shade, and I set her in the shade, and she spewed everywhere. But it was, so I don't think they'll be listening to your podcast because they were from Australia, like. But
listen, there's reach.
Hopefully,
big listenership in Singapore. So they're
is there?
Yeah, why?
That's
It's random places.
Thing.
Yeah,
that's a big guy thing.
Those guys love it. Yeah, and I mean, I'll be looking at the percentage of Singapore listens now.
Yeah.
The pair of us on.
Yeah.
But that's fucking is like I'm so nervous about just getting injuries. And just by being alive, you know, like I read a statistic and it was fucking stupid and I shouldn't have done it, but I was like, between your mid 30s to 40, that's the prime time to just your Achilles to go.
It's the prime time of your testosterone dropping as well,
right? Which
is a huge thing. People don't know this here, but your testosterone can drop. It's anywhere from 30 to 40%, even when you have a child. Like you get a huge plummet of testosterone.
I well believe that. Yeah.
And then as you get older, it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. So if you were in America, hormone replacement therapy is known as anti-aging therapy.
Right. Okay.
But we're not in America, so over here it's known as a hassle for your doctors. But like loads of people who come to their gym, like let's say 40s upwards, who come to the gym and they're trying to get into stuff and they're trying to make changes. I'd always say to them, go get your test checked to see what it's like. And then I was like, but bring me the figures. Do you know what I mean? Because the NHS is going to look at it and go, you're not dead, so you're all right. Do you know what I mean? But like it plays a huge part in shit, like a huge part in your motivation, your confidence and all. But your confidence mustn't be too bad if you're getting up on stage and all that. There.
Well, it's a weird thing.
Do you get times where you're like, I'm not as confident tonight?
There's like that was the thing. Like with my, I'm never not confident about my material because I'm fucking hilarious. But it's my how I look, you know. And it's like when I look back at the last hour I did, it's like that's my best show by head and shoulders. And like I was really proud of the last one, but the last one the new show, I'm like, this is a great show. And then I looked at the footage back and I'm like, but I look like that. Fuck me. And like even I have my t-shirt tucked in because I didn't want, you know, like if you don't want anyone looking up your shirt and all that. So I've never really been like that bothered me, and I just was and I just didn't like the look of it. And again, like I was like, I needed to make that change. And when I went, because I've been training in the house and other stuff, I went to the gym first thing on the Monday morning. The gig was on Saturday. First thing on Monday, I was like, right, I'm joining the gym. That's what I need to get me going. And I remember the first couple of times, it's all mindset, I think, with me. You need to be in it, or you just don't get the benefits. So when I got down there, I remember looking at myself and I felt like really watery, really bloated, really. I was like, I've let myself get into this fucking state, and it's like, I remember thinking, because I would always see, like, if you had people who were big and out of shape, I always remember my thoughts of them being in the gym was, fucking fair play to you, you're here, you're doing it. But you know, other people will be making snide comments and stuff. And I always, the first time back, I went to myself, I'm the person that people would be. But then I had to go, right, it's not about vanity here, it's about you're trying to do something, just get it done, get over it. And it was like, I remember first bench press I had done probably in years. Like my record bench that I'd ever done was 202 kilograms back in the day, and I thought that was a decent one rep max.
That's a good one.
And I got fucking 60 on. I couldn't shift it, and I was like, right, this is a problem.
Yeah, but come back. I'll make a comeback.
You know. So, but then this is the thing: you forget your wee elbows and all. I was like, oh man. So I got up to 100 the other day, and I got 5 reps of 100, and I went, yes, Davey, you're back. So now
come back fast.
You know, but again, I don't think I'd like to push it to the level that that it was,
Mm.
you know, because that was a bit like,
Mm.
I get that sort
200
of,
bench,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
boys had 200 bench press, like that's fucking good.
Yeah,
like.
but I was like probably mid-20s, like, so I
Still,
think,
it's good. Like.
but that was when Glenn Ross was kicking about and all, and I was like trying to show off. But I remember like that was the motivation, was the heaviest, and trying to just. Whereas now it's kind of like I almost like when you know yourself, you know your body more when you're older, and you know how it feels, and you're going, I feel like I'm doing like with my chest now. I do a thing if I'm in my garage. So I did it today where I've 24 kilogram dumbbells and I do 10 presses, and then I just turn it into flies, and I feel that just burns the chest out of me.
You need to do even if you do it once a week. These boys who are all jamming it now, you need to do group sessions once a week. The crack you'll hear out of that, and then that'll motivate you until the next one. Like just once a week, like just pick a day. Sunday, you're all obviously if you're all eating healthy, and all, you'll not be drinking and all. Do a Sunday morning before family shit kicks in. Go to a gym early.
That'd be good fun. Actually,
you have the keys to my place, and then you'll not get all celebrity fucking attention and all your fans.
No people. And that's the thing. Like I'm the worst for it. I've been told by many people you have one of the most unapproachable faces.
Yes, mate. I know where you're coming from there. Like I have the worst resting bitch face in the world. Like
and see this thing here. Like I go point out because I've done it before. See here.
If you don't smile, you look like you're fucked off of it.
And you know what? But so fuck these big pieces of shit that listen to the podcast and notice what they go, mate. It looks like a dick in your face. And I went, what? And then they drew around it. So see here, the belly end's there, goes down at the balls and the dick.
Like no dick. I've been here. I think I know a bit more than your followers do. But no, that is a big problem with me. Like, see if I don't smile, people are like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
None, you know, and I say, fuck, I can't smile all fucking day long. Like, you just can't run around. Fuck. And it's one of the most unfortunate things about having a bit resting bitch face. Like if you're not smiling, people think there's something wrong with you. People think you're like, I was running Lauren Pride there a couple of weeks ago.
You weren't like a Solar Pride.
I was like, I was so busy doing shit, and then. I had to, what did I have on the next day? I was away the next day with the powerlifting boys at like 6 a.m. and I was running the event, so it wasn't exactly a run. But when you talk to people, you smile.
You fucked up your calendar there.
Mate, the past 2 weekends has been so bad. Like, but like I get called out on it all the time. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with your face? And nothing, I'm fine. Like, then that smile.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
And then that puts you in the mood. You're like, now I'm in a fucking.
Now I'm in a bad mood. Like,
and then they go, oh, I told you so. I'm like, well, I wasn't to start with.
I remember saying to John ages ago, like whenever we go to Manchester and London and stuff like that, like a lot of people will come up and talk to me and say hello and get photos and stuff, but a lot of people like that night or the next day or whatever will Instagram me and be like, oh, I've seen you but I was too nervous to come and talk to you, you know. I'd be like, John, why the fuck are people like this? Why do people not just come up and say hello? And John's like,
that reaction.
John's like, you have to remember you're a really intimidating person. I'm like, how the fuck am I? And he's like, but people don't know you, Chris, you are. Like, and I'd be like, well, I suppose so, like fair enough, like, especially when my fucking face looks fucking like that.
Because I sometimes have people being like, yeah, you were at a gig and I want to just come up and say hello, but
you look really grumpy.
I was like, no, I'm sweet, like, and I'll always make time to speak to people, do you know what I mean? But it's just a case of, you know, and like the only time I would ever be like, oh, this is the bollocks, is if I have the kids or something. Like, there was one time, there was a fella came up to me and I was walking with a wee one on my shoulders, she was giving off a stink, and he said, can I have a selfie? And I went, no, you know, and I don't mean to be a dick, but you can't, because she's fucking losing her shit, and I don't know where to put her, and I don't want her in the photo, you know. So I was like, but I think that's the thing. You just have, again, when you're like, I'm a big softy, like, but I look like I'm
the same. Like I genuinely, I think if somebody wants to come and talk to you, or somebody wants to come and get a photo and all, it's a huge mark of respect to your trade or your graft or whatever it is you do. Like, you know what I mean? But it's just, you know, for me, like, I guess the look and the persona is what gets me a lot of followers and stuff. Like, for you, it's your comedy. Yeah, it's just there's probably more of a disadvantage to you than it is to me.
Well, you know what? Now it's going to change. See, now that I'm going to be fucking jacked and stacked, that's the problem though, and I feel it already happening. Like a month in, I'm like, I want this to pop out. I want the vanity of it, you know. I'm like, and I just can't help it. I'm like, I'll just go heavier. There's this machine in the gym, and I love it, and I haven't had it for years. And it's, you know, that one where it's like a T-bar. It's a machine T-bar though, and you lie on it. I just love that, and that's where I think I'll just
the skis out by wide back.
Yeah, that's what I've always been now. Because when I was training the last time, genuinely, I was properly in a gym and training. was before I got married.
Mm.
And I loved the stuff I was doing with the guy that I was training with. He was fucking, like, a lot of it was more like functional stuff, but he got me doing, like, and I said I want to do a pull-up, and he got me to do 3 pull-ups, and now I don't even think I can reach the pull-up thing to hold on to, let alone do 3, but that's, I want to get back to that. And the other day, was it a couple of days ago, and I had got the flu, basically, and I'm out the other side of it now, thankfully, but I thought I'm going to try and train through it, because you know when you get a wee buzz, and you're like, I could do something here, I'll try and do it. So I went in, I just thought, I'll kill an hour here, I'll do something, and I thought I'll do half an hour on the elliptical, I'll pop on, do a walk uphill for a bit in the treadmill, and then I have it in my head too. Now I'm back in the gym, it's like, I want to get the sleds. I love doing the sleds. He made me do sleds. So again, the ego thing happened. I was like, I'll do 10 sled pushes, stick 60 on, and just do that. And I got to about 8, and then I was like, I need to go down and up there one more time, and then that's me. And when I was finished, I had to go home. I planned to do all the abs and all, but I just thought my heart's going to burst because I couldn't breathe out my nose and because of the cold. And I was like, fuck, that is hard work. But that's the kind of stuff I need to be doing to get the fat away. Like, but it was. So I'm going to go back to sleds again tomorrow, and I'm going to hopefully not be as fucked. Yeah. Or else die. It's either
you get
way.
consistent with it, man, and make it fun. Like, that's the thing. Too many people come into it far too serious and like go on the chicken and rice diets and like fucking train 5 times a week and all, and like change their whole life around overnight. And it's like, you're gonna be fucked after 2 weeks. Like, just make like small changes and enjoy it. Like, make fun out of it. Like, enjoy it. If you don't feel like going to the gym one day, then take the family for like a fucking climb up a mountain or some shit.
See,
like,
that's the thing too. It's like I would have been very much with like it's when I'm all in. And then like you don't have the fun, or like you're missing out going for a drink or two, like, so
point doing it,
you know, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just do less of, like, cut the dieting down a bit. Don't, you know, like, I'm not a big drinker anyway. I drink every so often, but you know, don't go overboard. And it's more that if I do have a drink, the next day get up, walk a dog first thing, get a lot of water in the and try to eat sensibly again. But speaking of, I'll let you escape in a wee minute. But I've a couple of questions we'll go for.
Yep.
Dean says, what fucks Big Bear off? What annoys him? What pisses you off? He wants to know. And I mean, it's
my triggers, stupid people is the main thing. Like, in business and stuff like that there, like, I just have no time for stupid people. You know what I mean? It's just like stupid questions, and I just have no time for it. Like,
well, we've just done this for an hour, so I mean, you've put up with me rightly, you know.
That's one thing, and then I think just negativity is something I do not have in my life. Like, if somebody's negative, like, it wouldn't matter if you're a paying customer, if you're a staff member, if you're a family member, if you're a friend. If I feel that, everybody's got days where they can be negative, but if I feel that every time I look at you, you're being negative, and you're at the fuck, I have no time for that there. Like no time for that in my life no more. Like, because
that was another interesting one. See, on the latest, I think, Diary of a CEO, he had like I think it was like a relationship expert or a sex expert, somebody on, and she was saying like a lot of stuff's about how you look at it, and if ever, like, if you're going to the gym and you're like, oh, fuck, have to go here again, you're going to go and you're going to fucking slog your way through it. It's going to, you know, whereas if you go like, this is an hour, I'm away from the kids for an hour, it's my own time, listen to the podcast,
positive side of it,
I think that's a massive, you know, the more you think positive, it sort of it tends to manifest, I find, anyway. And listen, I'm good at being negative when I need to be. Like, when I
don't get me wrong, man, so am I. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I get cross with myself then when I am and stuff. Like, if I feel that I'm being really negative about something, or I'm not enjoying stuff and all, like, that's why, like, all my tattoos I have, they're all symbolic, they all mean shit, and the ones that are closest to my hands are like messages that mean the most. And it's just to, like,
don't be a miserable bastard.
It's just like trying to remind me, like, you know, to keep them values, because fucking life's taking, like, nobody's Buddha, like, do you know what I mean? Like, life takes over and, like, stuff pisses you off sometimes, and but I think if you're a constant, like, negative vibe, if you're a constant negative person, like, you need to go sort your shit out before you can be around anybody else, especially around me. Like I don't have time for that, like, you know.
Oh, it's draining too, isn't it?
Brings you down. It's infectious as fuck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've had it before with people, and it's just like, you're in a really good mood, you're really buzzing and all, and then you get stuck talking to somebody for half an hour, and afterwards you're just like, I want to fucking go home and do a fucking wake in bed today, never mind fucking all this shit, like, you know. It's just, but yeah, that I don't really get pissed off about much else, but everybody else will tell you that's an absolute lie. But like,
I know John's like, no, that's the face. Like, you've got the same face as me. Just like, I mean, like, if you
do you use your face to express your feelings? Because I do with no one.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like,
Yeah.
you know, and then people would be like, what's wrong? And then
Yeah.
that's like, oh, fuck, I've already told them in my face.
Catherine would be like, oh, do you want to do this? And I'll be like, yeah. She'd be like, what? You don't? I'm like, no, fuck, it sounds great. Let's do it. Sounds fuck amazing. And she'd be like, well, what's wrong? Nothing, you know? It's like, you know, you just want to have your own. But yeah, I would be sort of, and I can't hide my emotions. And like, that's what, like, say if someone's on stage and they're shit and I don't like it, I'm not going to go, you know, I'll be like, you know, and I know I should probably, but you know, but if I just don't, I struggle with it, you know. And I think as well, it's part of, that's the balance of it, is in life you can't please everybody, so you have to be like, you have to be almost a bit selfish with stuff and just be like, well, that's how I, you know, I am, and I'm happy about it. I'm not, you know, wrecking anyone's day, but I'm not going to be.
People sharing their opinions pisses me off too.
Yeah,
like opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has one, but you don't even fucking hear it.
Because sometimes, like my dad and my sister, they are like, they have the same personality, but they clash because they're different views on different things. But both of them have the same thing. They both want to win the argument. I remember saying to them, I was like, do you get a certificate? Like, what do you win? All you do is just, you're pissed off, they're pissed off, you're both pissed off. Just let it go. Just don't argue. You know, you don't have to argue with everything. Jane wants to know, what's your advice on giving anxiety a boot up the hole?
It's a long-term process. Like I always say, when it comes to mental health, like people ask me, you know, how do you get rid of your depression? You know, how do you get rid of anxiety? You know, you don't get rid of it. If you suffer with anxiety and depression, you're always going to have it, but you find out how to treat it in a way that it doesn't affect or ruin your life. Like, the biggest thing when it comes to anxiety, and I don't like to be like your typical doctor, but is take a good look at like the diet, or especially caffeine intake and stuff like that. I never realised how big a impact that has on you. Do you know what I mean? Where like, if you have a high caffeinated diet and stuff, and you suffer with anxiety, it's like you're feeding the anxiety by giving it caffeine. Like, you really do want to stay away from caffeine until like you have it under control. And then there's a thing called worry time, which is good. So if you're a busy person and you have like a lot going on in your life, is to set aside worry time. So you might like take the dog out for a walk at 6, and that's your worry time. So if something happens that makes you feel anxious at like 10 a.m, you're like, oh, all right, I'll think about that at worry time, and you do that throughout the whole day, and even make notes on your phone that you're going to think about it. And then when you go out to walk with the dog, or you're doing whatever at that set time, then you sit and you go through it all, and you think it all over, and you process it. You even sit and talk to somebody about it and stuff. And basically that's like tricking your mind into being like, okay, we're not going to ignore this, but we are going to deal with it, but this is the time that we deal with it, and it helps a bit with your anxiety.
As much.
And a lot of people like use that there, like, who suffer with anxiety, but like that's a big thing for like top businessmen, is that they have time set aside to worry about things and think about things, because they're just go all the time. It's like, so if you came to me at 10 a.m. in the morning and be like, I have real concerns about this here, Chris, and I'd be like, right, well, I have a meeting here and I've this and I've that, so I've noted that there, I've noted that, I'll think about it later on. Do you know what I mean? And then you crack on with your day. And a lot of things as well, like when it comes to anxiety and stuff like that, like, anxiety makes you sit and like think long term about a situation. Do you know what I mean? So like, if somebody invited you to something, you think about every worst scenario that goes on. But sometimes you need to actually sit down and like actually look at it realistically and right, okay, the idea of this is giving me anxiety. What's the worst that can happen, and what's the best that can happen, and like, should I be anxious about it? And then the other thing is, always push yourself. If you're anxious about something, fucking do it. Like, and anxiety, the feeling of anxiety, you need to flip it to, if something makes you anxious, do it. Rather than if something makes you anxious, you run away from it. So if I get anxious about something, I'd fucking do it, because I'd always rather regret doing something than to regret not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So always do it no matter what, and then if you want to regret it afterwards, you can regret it afterwards, but 9 times out of 10 you'll not regret it afterwards. But like, never back down to anxiety. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. Like even in the worst situations, like, you know, like, if you somebody struggle with anxiety attacks and stuff like that, there, as I have done in the past, it's like, if you have anxiety attack, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to sit down on the ground for fucking 10 minutes. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. Just the more you push yourself into doing stuff, the better. The more you sit back, the worse, because it just keeps building and it gets worse and worse and worse.
And do you think then too, like, because I always find, like, I had a I've spoken about it plenty of times in the podcast about having some issues with early stage depression, but again, if I felt that I went to the doctor, spoke about it, that was all I needed almost. But now I feel like I'm aware of what that issue feels like coming on to me. So when I feel it creeping in, I'm like, right, I need to, like you say, address it straight away, otherwise it'll expand. So like and then I think as well, some people need to know that it's okay to feel a bit shit sometimes. You know, some people are like, I should always feel. Nah, let it, you know, embrace it.
Very few people feel good all the time, like, but like what you're doing now, getting back into your fitness and into the gym and all, like, you're doing that to build a better quality of life for yourself. Like, if you did multiple things like that all the fucking time, you'll find that, like, life becomes a lot more valuable. Like, I became, through a journey I went through with my best friend, I sort of discovered and learned how valuable time is, and how precious time is, and how precious making memories is. And we went through, like, I went through this journey with him as his best friend, but it was his journey, but I was very much involved in it. And see, going for breakfast for us, like, each week was the most precious thing ever. For going for fucking breakfast, like, do you know what I mean? There's no money spent on it. There was no, like, money through it, like holidays and, like, you know, fancy things and all this here carry on. It was literally going for breakfast. That's all it was, and it meant the absolute world to the both of us being able to do that. Time, we knew time was limited because his young boy was going through a battle with cancer, and we knew time was limited. And it was sort of the thing where it was like, if he phoned me and was like, you know, Calm's having a good day, do you want to get breakfast? I'd be like, yeah, meet you down there in 5. Yes, there was clients booked in. Yes, there's meetings booked in. But they all got text messages to say that's all cancelled. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that was the most important thing. And that, and many, it was everything, but it was also nothing. It didn't cost much. It cost like 6-7 quid for your fry or something, or your coffee or whatever you were getting. And it was like the best memories, and I would pay a fortune to be able to, like, do them again now. And I, like, that helped me a lot in life, is just like, you know, it's just about good times, making memories, just always constantly make memories. And that's why that tattoo's on there, is like, make memories every day, like, always make memories, because they're the only thing of value in your life, is your memories. Everything else, and this is for somebody who's like, I've been done very well financially in life, and I've worked with, like, a lot of people who do extremely well financially in life. And I can tell you now that the most wealthiest thing you could ever own is memories. Like, like, it doesn't matter how much money's in your bank account, it doesn't matter what you drive, what you go around in. If you're making better memories than somebody else, you're a more wealthy fucking person than that person. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, because I was at a funeral not long ago, and one of the things that I, like, you know, when you're saying about your talks, if someone takes away something, someone was saying, like, the phrase, people say, oh, you only live once. That's not true. You only die once. So, like, so you're living now. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride, make everything count. So whenever you're gone, or people are gone, you like you say, fond memories. You know, you don't have any regrets of what because you've done it. You know. And, like, leave a legacy. No matter what you do in life, try to leave a legacy. Like, that to me is a big thing. But, like, you know, we get too caught up. I did for a long time, especially being in the motivational world and all, and everything motivational wise is based quite a lot on getting richer and more successful and stuff. And I went down that route. Like, you know, like, whenever I sort of had a break away from strongman for a while because of injuries, and I was like, right, I set a figure that I wanted to go and make, and I was just work, and then, you know, I wasn't far off making that figure, and I knew it was possible to achieve that figure, but I just got this moment, and I was just like, this is fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I doing this? Because what I actually did was, right, and nobody told me to do this, I sort of just did it myself. I remember sitting in the office one day, and I wrote down a bit of paper, my top 5 things I like to do, right? Like, of everything, like, if I could do anything with my day, like, what would it be? And I wrote them down. It was stuff like time with the family and stuff like that there, going out on the motorbike, going fishing, going clay pigeon shooting, you know, chilling out with a book and stuff like that there, or writing my book. And I looked at these, like, 5 things I'd love to do with my time, and I'm like, they don't fucking cost anything. But yet I'm working so much that I can't do them because I don't have time. But I'm working so much to make money, and the stuff I want to do is free. It's just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, you know? So after that, I was just like, look, you don't
I got caught up in that world, got
Yeah.
caught up in getting sucked in. That you know, if you own a business, you have to become a millionaire and all this shit
Yeah.
and all. And I was just like, you know, something. Nah, you don't. Like,
But
you
it's
could
time,
just
isn't
do
it? It's
well.
like time's the most precious to be able to do this. Like to be able to work a job you enjoy, to be
Mhm.
able to, help people in whatever way, whether it's through the training you give them, the advice you give them,
Yeah,
even like if someone's having a shit time, they're listening to us and they
Yeah.
go, "Fuck, that's just a laugh," or take
Yeah,
something
yeah,
away from
yeah,
that. That's the thing. It's the best to do.
Yeah, I love my fucking job. Like, I have done. Don't get me wrong. You like stick everything you moan and complain parts
Yeah.
of it. Like, you know what I mean. But
Oh, listen, no more than this guy. No more than this guy.
I fucking love it. Like,
Yeah, but Chris, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. For anyone that doesn't know,
you,
where
mate.
can they find you? What are your socials?
Instagram's probably the best. Bear Strong McNaghten or bearstrong.co.uk.
Bear Strong, and see next time we're on, I'm gonna be so jacked and so fucking. I probably won't be as funny, but I'll be fucking serious.
Just big angry dude.
Just a big angry. Yeah. But see, now I'm a serious actor. That's what I'm thinking too. Like I'm not. I don't want to be. I want to be like Jason Statham. So I'm like, works. But listen,
Being Expendables 5.
I say yes, being fucked up for Sylvester
Angry
Stallone. Pleasure, mate. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, bro. Thank you.
All right.
I'm the sly guy.